So one of the best ways to get eyeballs on your Etsy shop, apart from Etsy search, of course, is Pinterest. Now, Pinterest is kind of usually lumped in with the social media, although it's really more of a search engine than a social media platform. And the beautiful thing about that is that people go there to find stuff to buy and to organize events. So if you're in either of those categories, which I guess you are because you're here and you want to sell on Etsy, then Pinterest is definitely something I recommend that you should spend some time on. So today I want to just give you a couple of quick tips for how to use Pinterest really well with your Etsy shop. And I've got another video coming up next week with more Pinterest tips, so make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that one as well if you enjoy what I share in today's video. So g'day, welcome or welcome back. My name's Jess Van Den. I've been successfully selling on Etsy since 2008. My shop is called Ethereal, and I've been helping other makers like you turn your handmade hobby into a thriving and profitable business since 2013. So today we're talking Pinterest. I want to give you a couple of tips if you've never used Pinterest before, or if you are using it and you've kind of fallen off the bandwagon. Totally guilty of that myself. It is a great platform to use if you want to drive traffic from outside of Etsy to Etsy. Now, I just want to quickly say one reason why Pinterest is so awesome. There's nothing wrong with spending time on other social media like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, but the thing about those platforms is you have to be on there constantly. You have to be creating new content all the time. You have to keep up with it. And a piece of content is incredibly ephemeral. It's there for maybe 24 to 48 hours, and then basically no one's ever going to see it again, most likely. Pinterest, on the other hand, you can create one piece of content and it can keep sending you customers for literal years. Okay, I have pins from many years ago that still drive traffic to multiple websites of mine because it is a search engine. And if you have a piece of content on there that people want to find, and then you're there, they find you, they come and check out your shop. So that is why Pinterest is so powerful long term, because you invest one piece of content now and it can keep paying back for forever, basically, rather than it just being an ephemeral piece of content. Also, it's great if you're not into the social aspect of social media, because Pinterest is not about being social. It's not about keeping up with comments or messages. It's literally about creating content that people want to see and save, basically. Okay, so with that in mind, if that sounds great, let's talk about some ways to use Pinterest well to promote your Etsy shop. The first thing I recommend is if you already have a Pinterest account that's active, you've got two options. One, start a new account under your business name and then just use the new account all the time. Two, change your current account over to your business name and use that one all the time. You can have two separate Pinterest accounts, but again, I'm trying to make your life easier here. By having one account, what you can do is you have the boards that are public are related to your business. Then if you have private boards, just make them secret. You can create as many boards as you want that are secret that nobody else can see, but that you can use. So you can, that's a way that you can combine having a personal account and a business account in one place without having to have multiple logins and things like that. Okay, so that's what I do. I just have one account, and any boards that are just for me, I make them secret. They don't show up on my profile, but I can still access them. So it's like the best of both worlds, really. So in that case, just make sure that if you have the one business, I have multiple businesses, so I had to pick one, but you pick the one business and use that as your business name. So I use my own name as my Pinterest name because I have multiple businesses, but then you have one link that you can put. So you need to pick what that is and put that in there. And then a description where you describe what you're all about. And then you can start pinning. You can create boards that are related to your products. So that's number two, is the pinning itself. There's a couple of ways you can go. You can literally just create one board that is your business name or your shop name and pin everything to that. Or if you want to fill up your profile a little bit more and get a little bit more creative, what I recommend you do is actually create boards that match the sections in your Etsy shop. Okay, and then you can pin all of the products that live in each of those sections to those boards on Pinterest. So, I have an oxidized wedding ring board section in my shop. I have a high shine wedding ring. I have a simple threaded earrings section in my shop. So I could just create a board on Pinterest for each one of those, and that gives you a little bit more fullness to your account. And also it targets it a little bit more because the name of the board that you pin to gets searched as well on Pinterest. So if you've done a good job of creating your shop sections on Etsy that are keywords, then the same thing will carry across to Pinterest. So that's probably what I would recommend you do, is create a board for each of your shop sections and pin from that section. Now, the other nice thing about this is that if your products actually should technically fit in more than one section, you can pin them separately to those different boards on Pinterest. And again, that gives you more scope to pin stuff on Pinterest. I keep saying pin stuff. They call it save now, and I think they have for a few years, but I'm still old school and I prefer to call it pinning. So we're just going to roll with that. So the third tip is create fresh pins. Gone really are the days where spending a lot of time repinning other people's content was useful, because that's not really what Pinterest is focused on anymore. That's not what they're pushing. And also, that was back in the day where you kind of had a feed that was based on who you followed. That's not really the case so much anymore. You really want to think of it as a search engine. So every pin you create, you want to optimize it for search. You want to make sure the title, the description, the image, it's all optimized to show up for people searching for that thing on Pinterest, just like you would in your Etsy shop thinking about the SEO, right? It's the same sort of deal. So you want to pin fresh content as regularly as you can, right? I'm going to be running a challenge in the Thriver Circle, my membership community for makers, later this month. It's called the Pinterest Challenge. We're going to do a 2-week challenge where I'm going to encourage you to commit to spending 10 minutes a day on Pinterest, pinning things. And I'm going to give you tips and tricks about Pinterest all throughout that challenge as well. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link to the membership below. You just have to become a member, and that's all you have to do to join the challenge. It'll be run in our Facebook group. Basically, you want to be pinning new things. Now, if you have the full 10 photos for each of your products, that's 10 potential pins right there just for one product. Another thing you can do is pin customer photos. So customers upload those photos to Etsy. You can take that, pin that, and link it back to your product that they've bought. You can also use nice photos that you've created for social media that you haven't put in your actual listing, but you can again pin the photo and link that back by putting the title tag and the link to that listing on Etsy in that pin. Okay, so there's lots of ways you can get content. Another way is video. So if you have a video on your Etsy listing, then you can pin that video and again link it back to that listing. Now be careful, remember, when you are doing this, to link the pin directly to the listing on your shop, not your shop in general. Don't just link to the front page of your shop. People get annoyed when a pin doesn't go where they think it's going to go. So make sure whenever you pin something, you pin it directly to that listing in your Etsy shop so that people don't get confused or frustrated about not being able to find exactly what was in the picture. Another thing you can do is something called an idea pin. This is where you pin multiple images basically in one pin. It's like a carousel on Instagram and people can flick through it there, and you can put text on each one and stuff if you want to tell people more about your product. So you could pin all your other images separately, and then you could make an idea pin where you actually have a bunch of your images in one swipeable carousel, and that's something else that people can see. And you could even make the last image of that go, here's more at my Etsy shop, and write more details about your shop. So it's actually a really nice feature that they've introduced that you can use that can hopefully again capture people's attention and perhaps drive more traffic across to your shop. Tip number 4 is ideally you want to be doing those vertical photos, right? Because that's what Pinterest is built around, is that particular shape. However, done is better than perfect. I'll be honest, most of my stuff is just the photo from Etsy because it's fast, it's easy, that means it's done. If you have the time and energy to crop them into that vertical format before you upload them, that's great, do it, absolutely. It might get more eyeballs on it, but Look, I'll be honest, some of my all-time most popular pins are not, one, they're not particularly great images. Two, they're square or even, wider than they are tall. So they're in landscape rather than portrait format. I don't know exactly why. Perhaps it's because it's just something people wanted, right? And again, that at the end of the day, done is better than perfect. If you're never going to pin anything because you're like, I can't be bothered to edit all my photos twice because I've already edited them for Etsy in that, sort of format, the landscape format, then just do it. Just pin what you have. It's better than nothing. At least you're getting on the platform. You have the potential to be seen on the platform. And if perfectionism standing in the way, it's not going to be helpful in the long run. So just pin what you have. My fifth tip is to use group boards as a way to increase your reach. So group boards are boards that lots of different people pin to that have a central theme. So there's tons of group boards on Pinterest, Etsy ones, handmade ones, whatever your particular handmade niche is, there will be a group board for it. You can just search on Pinterest for like the broad term, like Etsy shops or something, and it might bring it up. Another thing is to Google group boards and then Etsy or jewelry or whatever it is you make, and then just see what comes up there. There's a site called pingroupie.com that kind of is basically a search engine for group boards on Pinterest. So I'll put a link to that below and you can check out Pingroupie. That might be helpful in finding group boards as well. So you just, you take pins that you already have and you pin them and save them onto the group board. You obviously don't want to be spammy with this. You want to be doing this on a somewhat regular basis, but again, it's just a way to potentially get your pins in front of new eyeballs. The people who follow those group boards might be more likely then to see your pins, which is great. And those are my quick tips for Pinterest in 2022 today. Next video, I'm going to be doing a video that shows you 3 ways that you can pin from your Etsy shop to Pinterest, because people often get a bit confused as the best way to do this. So I'm going to show you the 3 ways that you can do it and pick whichever one works for you. So if you want to know more about how to successfully grow your Etsy shop, I'll leave a link here to my Etsy playlist. I have tons of videos that will help you with your Etsy shop. I also have a workshop coming up later this month. It's called Getting Started with Etsy. It's a live workshop as part of the Etsy U program. I'll put a link to that below and you can just subscribe and make sure you don't miss that if that's something that you're interested in. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.